There's still a long way to go and a lot of basketball left to be played this season, but in some instances, it becomes abundantly clear early on that change is going to have to be made, and this offseason, there are some major trades brewing. The trade deadline passed a while ago, but the feeling left from it was that there was a lot of unfinished business that will be picked up in the offseason, and that's what Bleacher Report addressed in a recent article where they proposed 4 blockbuster trades that they believe are on the way this summer that teams in need of upgrades are already thinking about. As always, I'll be going through each proposal, analyzing whether or not the trade makes sense, who benefits the most from it, and why or why not each team would want to do it. Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I'd also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first proposal from the article is between the Brooklyn Nets and the Chicago Bulls, and in it the Nets receive Zach Lavine, and the Bulls receive Ben Simmons, a first-round pick, and 2 second-round picks. There was a time not too long ago where both of these players were all-stars, and on the open market would have drawn huge offers for their services, so to see them in an offer for each other now looks kind of funny at first, but at the same time it speaks to how far they've fallen since. The craziest part is that this actually feels like a pretty fair value for both sides, and there is clear motivation for both teams wanting to get something like this done. For the Nets, they've built a core made up of a lot of individually solid defensive players and secondary scoring options, but are lacking a real alpha go-to scorer in their lineup that can be relied upon to consistently create offense, and in a trade like this, they're getting Zach Lavine at his lowest point, banking on him recovering well from his injury and having a bounce-back season. After all, Lavine is still just 29 years old with a lot left in the tank, and even though he had a pretty poor season this year when he was on the court, a change of scenery would do him a lot of good. As for the Bulls, they're in a weird limbo situation where they're already nearly maxed out on spending, so they need to find buy low guys to take a swing on, and Ben Simmons is one of the more ideal candidates in that regard. His nagging back issues have held him back 3 years in a row, but when he's been on the court in that time, he's proven he can still distribute the ball at a elite level passing the rock, which is a big need for the Bulls, who have a lot of score-first guys without a true facilitator to run things. The first-round pick they would get along with Simmons is obviously the icing on the cake as well, so to me this is kind of a win-win for both sides. The next proposal from the article is between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Atlanta Hawks, and in it the Lakers receive Trae Young, and the Hawks receive Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Jalen Hood-Schifino, and 3 first-round picks. The smoke surrounding Trae Young and his future with the Hawks has been swirling for a while now, and it's really starting to feel like a split is coming in the near future. The Hawks have been trending in the wrong direction 3 years in a row, they're destined for the play-in tournament with an uphill climb to make it out, and their current core is maxed out at mediocrity. Trae is one of the most productive players in the entire league, and will want to find the best situation for himself, and his relationship with LeBron James has made some obvious connections there. On the flip side, the Lakers are in 9th place in the West right now, and they also have an uphill climb to even make the playoffs this year, and if they fall short of that goal, then you can imagine some major changes will be made, especially with it now seeming likely that LeBron James will be sticking around to extend his career as a Laker. The Rudy Gobert trade a few years ago has kind of ruined the concept of superstar trade value, but this deal on paper looks awfully close to a good deal for both sides. The players involved in this deal, I believe, are better than the players that were involved in the Rudy Gobert trade, especially for a Hawks team that may need to rebuild after this, as Austin Reeves is a solid all-around playmaker on the wing, Rui Hachimura is an exceptional two-way rotation piece that plays solid defense, Gabe Vincent has NBA Finals experience despite being hampered by injuries this year, Jalen Hood-Schifino is a raw talent worth taking a swing on for a rebuilding team, and 3 first-round picks are always going to solidify an offer like this, even if the Gobert trade had 4 first-rounders exchanged. The Lakers would be the ones really pushing to get this deal through, because the truth of the matter is LeBron's still handling way too much of the primary playmaking duties for the Lakers at 39 years old, and Trae Young's presence would make the lives of him and Anthony Davis so much easier, and it would keep their window of contention alive for a few more years. The draft capital involved here could be something the Hawks get hung up on because of that Rudy Gobert trade being used as a reference point, but this is at least solid framework for negotiations between these teams to begin. The next proposal from the article is between the San Antonio Spurs and the Houston Rockets, and in it, the Spurs receive Jalen Green in exchange for Blake Wesley and a first-round pick. I'll be honest, I've been doing these trade review videos for a while now, and this right here is easily one of the worst proposals I've ever seen in these articles. We're coming off of two relatively solid ideas before this, but this one is just an immediate no. Admittedly, this article was published in the early part of the current hot streak that Jalen Green is on, and prior to that, his season had been incredibly frustrating due to all of the inconsistent ups and downs with his play, but even with all of that being said, this was never going to be enough to get the Rockets to give up on the former second overall pick, even at his lowest. Prior to the month of March, Green was averaging just 18 points on pretty poor shooting splits for a score-first player that also brings questionable effort to the defensive side of the ball, so I'm not here to try to bring revisionist history into this, but he's also shown plenty of flashes in his career that he can be a high-level scorer if he ever put it all together, and that alone for a 22-year-old is worth way more than just a first-round pick and a throw-in player like Wesley. Now, with this March explosion, Green's price tag has probably doubled since he's averaging 28 points, shooting 50% from the field and 41% from 3 this month, and the Rockets are the hottest team in basketball right now, chasing down the Warriors for that last play-in spot behind a streak where they've won 11 of their last 12 games, which Green has been pacing them for. And finally, the last proposal from the article we'll be going over is between the Golden State Warriors and the Toronto Raptors, and in it the Warriors receive Bruce Brown and Jakob Poeltl, and the Raptors receive Andrew Wiggins, Kevon Looney, Gary Payton II, and a protected first-round pick. The Warriors' season is starting to get a bit dicey, with the Rockets one game behind them for the final play-in spot, and even if they do manage to hold on to it, it's become abundantly clear that changes need to be made if they want to extend Steph Curry's title window. Looney has had some big moments for this team over the years, but he's just never been able to consistently anchor the team in the ways that they need inside. Andrew Wiggins is currently having the worst year of his career, and what the Warriors need are guys that can play their roles and provide much more consistent production. To put it simply, that's exactly what Bruce Brown and Jakob Poeltl provide. Brown is a tremendous perimeter defender who showed during last year's title run in Denver that he can fill a lot of different roles offensively and defensively, and do it with relative ease. Jakob Poeltl has, year after year, been a double-double machine that makes a positive impact on defense too. This may not be the flashy move Warriors fans might want, but it's exactly what they need. Now, you might be wondering why the Raptors would do it after all of what I just said, but they're a team going in a new direction by reloading on fresh new talent, and on top of the fact that getting a first-round pick is always a nice plus for a team in their situation, I also really like the idea of an Andrew Wiggins homecoming, playing in Canada where he's from. The Raptors have already brought in Canadians RJ Barrett and Kelly Olynyk, so they're clearly welcome to that idea as well, and if there was ever going to be a place to motivate Wiggins to rejuvenate his career on the court, it would be the Raptors, where he would be welcomed with open arms by the hometown fans. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about these proposed trades. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.